All right, turbo failure analysis 101. Get ready. We have brand new turbo shaft, not so happy. And we have turbo parts. So brand new turbo, didn't make it very long. And I'm gonna show you why. Still trying to poke chunks out. One piece ain't coming on there. There it is.
Another big ass piece.
Yeah, there's two chunks of whatever.
There's a couple of these little flakes of whatever.
So it could be something came through the oil feed line. A lot of times when we see something like that, it's like people have that paste or tape, excessive amounts of paste or tape. It can go in and seize that bearing and cause a quick failure in a short period of time on initial install.
That one's like almost rubbed over.
And was that clamp, was that orientation when you pulled it apart, correct? Yes. So the clamp is installed incorrectly as well. Just to kind of enlighten everybody, see the clamp here? It interferes with the side of the turbo housing when installed incorrectly rather. When we send the turbos out, this is the correct way to install the clamp. Basically, there's no interference, no side load right here. Now, yes, it will clamp up if you put it on wrong, but if you look at it from this perspective of kind of how it's clamping, it's side loaded, so it's never not in a bind when it's installed like that. That can cause the cartridge to shift and not fully sealed. You can have soot leakage out the side of the clamp like this one because it wasn't totally sealed. It was cocked off to one side on improper install. And you can kind of see that exhaust was propagating over there because of the way this was loose in one way and tight on one side, loose on the other side. So that's pretty much what happened there. So front bearing, it's rare to see that compared to the rear bearing. Usually the rear bearing looks like that from an overspeed. When you see the front bearing like that, generally means something got in the journal. So there's your oil feed hole. That feed hole for the front journal bearing, it's a straight shot. So there's a hole down in there. You can actually see the bearing when it's installed through this hole. So any contaminant that goes in there, well, here's a chunk of paste in there, and there's a chunk of metal in the front bearing.
That was from one of the holes.
So here's a piece of debris that came out of the front bearing.
Oh, there's little holes here.
Yeah, you got into an oil feed hole.
They're all plugged up.
Yeah, there's more than just that chunk that's stuck in the, I don't know if you can see that one, there's a chunk in that hole. So that little round circle mark that you're seeing, that deformity, once the contamination went around and kind of got the bearing hung up, that's the oil feed passage. So roll the bearing around there, Junior. You see how the bearing has pressure on one side, and right here it had light pressure on the other side. So basically what's going on is a piece of debris got in here, pushed the bearing off to one side, got it hot, and it swelled up in the bore and seized. And then this oil feed hole, and once the bearing swells up, the oil feed hole deforms into the oil feed hole. So that's a high spot, and it stopped the bearing from turning. But it was all a cascade failure from contaminants causing that. And that's a front bearing failure, but it's because it had something that fell into it on installation. So sometimes you'll see that leftover contamination going through and getting lodged into the thrust bearing feed side. we'll have to blow through there and see what comes out. Oop, I can see through that one, so that's not plugged. And that's not plugged, so that's good. Generally, like I said, it goes to the front journal bearing first, the way that this oil feed is made. Not sure, but essentially that's what happened. So, piece of dirt got in there on install. Some kind of, looks like a chunk of metal of some kind.
It's definitely metal.
And there's more of it.
Yeah. All these holes are
Almost all the holes are full of whatever that stuff is. So we'll let this rust burn a little bit, and did that. All right, guys. So that was analysis of one of our S400 units, BorgWarner based, and then we put our 5-blade Mafia compressor wheel in it. This one is a Super Core unit, which we sell with a BorgWarner turbo cover that's modified, and with our 68 millimeter compressor wheel. This one in particular had an 83 millimeter turbine with a little flow clip on the turbine side. As far as the application, it's 600 to 800 horsepower range at the tire unit. And you've seen what can happen to a brand new turbo in a short period of time. Basically, some contaminants got into the front bearing, causing it to have a failure, and then you've seen that little raised mark on the front bearing completely blocks off the oil flow, and the rest of it failed pretty fast. Let me know what you think on what you saw. If you got any questions, it'd be great to answer any questions you guys might have, and let me know what you think about the exhaust clamp. A lot of people may not realize that that's a pretty important thing to get installed correctly. You could be, side loaded off axis, even to the point of where the exhaust wheel can contact the exhaust housing in some cases. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you want me to do more of these. We can definitely do that. So happy racing, and we'll see you out there at a racetrack sometime soon. Thanks for watching.